everybody. Welcome to another powerful episode of Kingdom Nation. I'm your host, Dr. Latricia Roberts. On today, please do me a favor, go out to our Facebook page, our Twitter page, Instagram, wherever you are, and like our page and hit the notification bell so you can find out what's going on Kingdom Nation. And today I have a very special guest. You know, the Bible says the laughter does a heart good like a medicine. And I have a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in some years, none other than the gospel comedian, Miz T. Hello, Miz T. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Roberts. I'm doing great.
Woo,
Doing
it's been a while. It's been a long time since we've talked. So please forgive me. Please
Girl, I
forgive
got
me.
more gray hair since last time I saw you.
Ah, help me, Lord. I do better, Jesus. I do better. I do better. I do better. I do better. So what's been going on in the gospel comedian area? Well, I mean, let's go back. So tell us a little bit about Miss T, because for some people who have never heard of you, here's a great opportunity for you to share with them who you are, and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am, let's see, I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, and I'm a daughter. I'm not an aunt because my brother doesn't have no children. So anyway, I'm available for kidnapping though. I will do aunting business because I'll hold them, feed them, change them, and then I'll give them back to you. Okay.
Oh,
So
that's how that goes.
but I also lead praise and worship at my church. I've been a Sunday school teacher. That's actually how my comedy project came about and how Miss T kind of came about. Uh, I got the name Miss T because I had coworkers who couldn't pronounce my name. And so they so they said, we just gonna call you Miss T for short. And I was like, I like that. If I ever get on stage, that'll be my stage name. So
That's
that's how
real
they
good.
gave you Miss T, okay, just because they couldn't pronounce my name. But my government name,
Okay,
that's my
government
government
name.
name. They can't pronounce it, so it's okay. It's okay. So I just kept it easy for everybody. But so I started with telling stories of my Sunday school kids when I served as MC of different programs, and the feedback I always got was, "Oh, we really enjoyed you. We enjoyed those stories," and so I decided to have my goal was to be the first comedian to have a project that could be played on the radio without being beeped, bleeped, or anything else. Children can hear it. Older folks, seasoned saints, as we call them, can hear them. And
Mhm.
I did that. I did that.
That's awesome. So we thank you for giving yourself to this, because comedy isn't easy. Contrary to the way we see it looks on TV, to stand up there and have the comedic timing and
Mhm.
to get some church people to laugh, come on now, is not an easy thing sometimes.
No, that's true. And I found that it really is a ministry. When I had 400 people, it was one of my largest crowds at that time. I did comedy in front of 400 people in Rosenberg, Texas. And right before it was time for me to come up, they kind of did a break and uh, did a memorial of this person who passed away, and it must have been very recent. And so they gave his mother and widow a picture, did some kind of presentation, and those ladies fell out as if the funeral was just yesterday. The way they were crying and weeping and wailing, I was like, oh my God. So what I did, I stood at the piano and I said, Lord, I said, you have to do this because I just don't see how they're going to laugh after this. And um well, after that thing, after their presentation, the person, she said, Miss T, you're next. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. There's no way. And but I went up there and she said, you got 10 minutes. Everybody else had 7, but they gave me 10. I said, okay. And I said, all right, Lord, it's you and me. And once I hit that zone, I just was in it. And next thing I knew, those women, those same 2 women who had been screaming and crying a few minutes before, were laughing and falling out of their chairs. And I was like on stage and I almost shouted right then because I was like, that's who I'm here for. And God said, yeah, that's who you're here for. Just those two. The others got the benefit, but you're here for those two. So it was at an incident like that that I realized that it really is a ministry. So they needed that kind of medicine to help with their healing as they were dealing with the loss of their loved ones. So,
Yeah, man,
oh,
you said something that was key because ministry is more than, excuse me, more than just standing behind the podium preaching.
hmm
Ministry
hmm
touch several different entities, and here is a perfect example of being a comedian is one of them, a gospel comedian. So has the road been tough in the gospel arena because most people don't want to hear a lot of clean comedy, if we can tell the truth.
that is the truth. They think church stuff is boring, but that's the people who don't come. The ones that come Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. I mean, they
I just fell out. I just
you,
fell out. I just fell
you
out.
yeah, you can tell when they come to church because they'll come in and say, "Man, they sung a low down dirty hymn," and it's like a what? The Ted, you only come to church once a year, okay, and took me out. So they shouting out the first time on a hymn. Come on now, but but the challenge is very challenging. It's more challenging for the women, I believe, than it because it's not that
Mm,
many of us. It's not that many clean females anyway. And the church has been burned even before Mr. Brown became famous, before Medea
right.
came out. The churches have been burned because there were a lot of secular comedians that would go to the church to try to make money and say, I'm a gospel comedian. But the only thing they didn't do was curse, but their content was still kind of explicit, still kind of
Wow.
strong. So the churches have been burned by that. So it's even harder now for the true comedians to be able to come in and knock on the church's door and say, "Hey, I don't even want to charge you. I just want to, can you create an event and let me come in?" So maybe after this COVID stuff's over, people will be ready to laugh, and maybe at the end of, if not this year, 2022, it'll be a different thing that they'll be welcoming us back in because they'll be tired of the old run of
Right.
what they were doing. So I've been prayerful even from last year. I was prayerful. I said, Lord, you're just preparing a way for the true comedians to be able to come in and be able to add to the body in the same way that Mr. Brown character did and Madea did, but you got to respect that we have our own way of comedic expression. I know you've been used to Madea because you watch a lot. I know you're used to Mr. Brown because we've been watching him for years. But respect for those of us who don't wear costumes. you know,
Now, you said something because a lot of people, they will compare whether it's a preacher,
yeah,
a
yeah,
teacher, evangelist. Everybody's not going to have the same delivery, but that's what
right.
makes you unique. That's what makes you you. And so if I
hmm
heard you, I wouldn't be comparing you to Medea. You're not Medea. You're not
Right.
Mr. Brown. You're Mrs. T. And so,
hmm
we can't do that to people because it's just not right because you wouldn't want somebody to compare you to somebody else when you have your own the way the Lord give it to you is the way you deliver it. So you can't,
Exactly.
he didn't call for any copycats, and that's to anybody doing anything for the kingdom.
That's
God did
right.
not call any copycats. So stop trying to sound like that preacher or that singer and be you. You're
That's
uniquely
right.
you. And he's going to
That.
use that particular thing to launch you to the masses is your uniqueness, not that you can sound like somebody else. So
hmm
I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that, you are multifaceted as they call it. You are, you said the last time we talked, you didn't have grandkids and now you got some. So, I'm gonna have to get you back for that one. But you also wrote a book. So you're a comedian and an author.
Yeah.
And so let's jump into this because just the topic, the title of the book will make you sit back and go, what? And I have to say y'all, because this is not one of those people like, what? The name of her book is Celibacy. What was I thinking? Are you kidding me with that topic? Are you serious? You did it. It's out there now.
Well,
You can check it out.
I said
Celibacy.
the
What
same
was
thing.
I thinking?
I said the same thing when God said, this is your life. You're gonna cut sex out of your life." And I'm going, "God, are you? Yeah, wait, I'm in the prime. What? Wait a minute. Can we talk about this? I mean, I love you, Lord, but come on now, Yeah,
Woo-wee. Gina, we
yeah.
got to talk about this one. Come on, we got to dive into this. Explain to us how the Lord gave you this topic.
Well, I thought about there were two things that I know well: raising kids and being celibate. And so I said, everybody's been a mom. Nobody's going to be interested in the fact of what I did special. I didn't do anything special to raise my kids. I told one guy, I said, I prayed and whooped butt. That was it. That was my secret. And my kids have turned out wonderful. Thank the Lord. They never gave me any blues, any talk back, nothing. No problems at all. Thank the Lord. But the celibacy walk, that's a challenge because that's part of the faith walk. And we all have a responsibility, married or single, to just stay faithful to Christ and keep our word to Him. So it's more challenging. So when I decided to come up with the title, it's like, well, Lord, I'm just trying to help those who, A, are considering being celibate for whatever reason brought you there, and then B, kind of show you how to maintain it, how you can maneuver through, because we still got to guard our heart and our minds even more so now, because we're definitely still going to be attacked by the enemy. Anytime you stand up for Christ and for what God wants for you, we're going to be attacked. So
Amen.
so it's just a way to kind of help you manage. And who said it's so serious that it's a death sentence? I mean,
Mm.
really, people think celibacy, you should be a nun. Well, I've been a nun for 20 years. I ain't trying to keep going. There's no golden medal for that, Lord. But there are ways you can manage it and still be happy, still enjoy the Christian life. It doesn't mean that your life stops.
Let's dive into this because nowadays to be celibate, you're looked at like something's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're supposed to be Christians, if we're Christian and we're not married, you're supposed to be celibate until
Mm-hmm.
that husband come. Not watch this, not till y'all get engaged, but
Right.
until you get married. I can speak from experience. Come on now. So I understand, and there is you did tell the truth. You do have to maneuver through this. You do have
Mm-hmm.
to deal with yourself, and you have to be honest
Right.
when you're dealing with being celibate. It's not a joke. If some of our young ladies, if more than were celibate, some more than would be married. Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I telling the truth? So we have to go back to teaching what's in the Bible, not what's in our flesh.
There you go.
That's one
That's
thing.
it.
That's one thing. So because somewhere along the line that message got lost that you can be saved and yet be out there sexing and sex texting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 no. That's not what he called for. He told us to keep our temple clean. So
True.
how do you tell somebody this in the book that if you're doing it to cut it off? I mean, how do you? Because that's a conversation and a half. Come on now.
Well, that's the hardest part is maintaining. I said, well, we're just not gonna date for 6 months. That was my original thinking. I'm just not gonna date for 6 months. And I told God, you just turned this into a vocation. Now we need to go back and start over. I need to go back to the prayer line. What did I miss? But the hardest part was the first 6 months. And it
Mhm.
wasn't because, I mean, in the way God did it, he was so smooth when he told me. I was talking to this young guy. He was a ex, somebody I was his first girlfriend when he was like 14, 15. So I'm younger than him. So I was 13, had no business trying to court no way, but we were each other's first kiss. But that was as far as it went because we were always with family. So we couldn't sneak off nowhere and try nothing else, but we were just still with family. So I thought because he was somebody I went to church with and knew and grew up with, and we shared a cousin that he would be safe for me to be with.
Mm.
But he was so carnal minded. Yes, he went to church on Sundays, but he was so carnal minded. He was not living the life. He was just doing it for the money. He was a drummer for a church, and he was just there to chase skirts, get new skirts, what have you. So he was very carnal minded. And finally, I said, "Oh my God, we are the Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, the gospel. Where we going?" And so God told me in my den, He said, "Trinae, he's not for you." And I said, "Oh God, but he got so much potential. What you trying to say?" Blah blah blah. And when He said it again, "He's not the one for you." I was like, "Okay." Okay, so I cut it off completely because I just trusted God. And I told him, I said, "Look, you can't come over here no more. Don't bring your clothes. Don't call me. Blah blah blah. This is not gonna work." And he's like, "What happened? I don't understand." And I was like, "Hey, I'm being obedient. I understand it, but if I explain it to you, you wouldn't understand it because he was carnal minded, totally carnal minded." So from that day forward, just walking in obedience, I think that helped some, but I still had questions. Not so much if I was doing the right thing. I was also just making sure that I wasn't putting myself down because I was thinking, "Oh, because I'm heavy, God, that's why you want me single." And I mean, because we can beat ourselves up as
Yes,
women.
we do.
Oh God, we can listen
Yes,
to
we
all
do.
that talk and talk ourselves out of our own teeth if we really. So that was the hardest part. And after a year, it got a little easier. And then I didn't have time to think about it because I was still doing praise and worship in church. I was still active with my kids were young. So I was still, being mom duties and what have you. So just life, just continue to live your life. And after a while, it doesn't bother you as much. And now I'm just grateful for all the wisdom nuggets that I have that I wouldn't have had I not taken that stance and kept it and guarded my heart and guarded my temple, and still trusting God that He's going to bring me a mate. I really do. I still believe that God's got a mate for me.
He does. And so it's your job to wait, to watch,
Mm-hmm.
be preparing yourself so that you're a good wife when he comes, and
Yeah,
the Lord is preparing him to be a good husband.
that's
So
right.
well, we gonna go a little deeper and keep it 100. But how did you handle the nights when your body was talking to you? Come on now, because
Those
those
were the
sometimes
nights.
those nights do pop up,
Those
and
were the
your mind
nights
is
that
wondering. Come on,
I would write in my journal, "Lord, if you don't fix this right now, I'm gonna go get a homeless man," because that's where they are. The homeless, he's easily accessible. If you don't fix this right now, if you've got to take this edge off, you said that you would hold me. You said you would be my friend. So I had to put it in those terms, and then I had to go to scripture. And the thing about the scripture, though, at times like that, you make it personal because it is personal. The Bible is a personal letter to us. So I would put my name in places where it say, "You God, you said Trinae will have." God, you said you will supply all of Trinae's needs, according to your. So I had to personalize it, but I had to write in the journal, "Lord, you need to fix this. Right now, I'm feeling really, I would hurt somebody's daddy right now, Lord, if he came to my door." So I would write in my journal, but I would be honest. See, that's the thing people miss in our
right?
world. Be honest with God. Ain't no sense in lying to him. I mean, because that's how I've just been so open to God. It's like I can't sit up there and tell God, "Well, Lord, He know my heart." So why lie to Him? To Lord, I wanted that man. The one that. Oh, but see, if you hadn't have done your job and made him look so handsome, God, I wouldn't be left it. I'm trying to tell him it's your fault that I'm sitting here crying and cringing and stuff.
Now, people
But
can place the blame on everybody but them, but that was the truth. We need to be
mm-hmm,
honest with ourselves. If you
mm-hmm,
know you can't you struggling and to maintain, you should be hanging out with people at 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they calling you on the phone. friend or no friend. Come on now.
One
You
time
have to.
I told my pastor, I went over to his house and I told him, I said, Reverend, I said, you need to pray for me. He said, why? And he knew I was serious. I said, you need to pray for me. I said, because if I get a hold of this man right here, I say, I'm not going to be repentant, but I need to be covered. So you need to pray for me. He just fell out laughing because I said, I ain't going to be lying to God talking about I ain't going to do it no more. I might want to do it again, but you need to be praying for me. You
Help
know?
her, Jesus. Help her, Jesus. Help her, Jesus.
But I was being honest, not even knowing that guy that way, but it never been in the a friendship to be, going in that direction. But I just like I'm just on GP. It's just like it hit me, and I was like, "Oh, if I get a hold of him, might not ever turn him loose." But I need somebody to pray for me because I ain't gonna be lying to God, telling him I'm sorry, and I know I'm not. So my pastor just hollered. He was like, "Lord, come here, baby, come here."
So
So get
I'm
you
looking at
some
you.
supporters, get you some support, get you some support, get you some people who will pray for you and keep you accountable. And the bulk of my friends are married couples. I've been watching and mentoring them. I mean, I would say, oh, I want a little piece of their marriage. I want a little piece of their marriage. I don't know how I'm going to build mine, but I know I want to have that in mind. I want to have that in mind. I want to have that in mind. But so far, thankfully, all of my married couples they don't push me away when I call and say, girl, listen, I need help. I need to talk to you, lift me up in prayer. I'm feeling weak right now. So you need to just build a strong support system. Also, that's helpful.
That's true. You need to build a strong support system. And the other thing is, you mentioned being honest with yourself and having people that can pray with you, but also praying for yourself.
Yeah.
Because the time you could be over there looking cross-eyed at somebody, you could actually be praying, Lord, help me now. And the
Right.
prayer don't have to be, I learned during my time of celibacy, the prayer don't have to be 45 minutes. Jesus, I need you now, God.
Yes.
Forget the Father Abraham. That's who you are, but I need you now. This is a 911. I need you now type thing.
Right.
And he will, and then the other thing, you have to want to be doing right. You have to want to do
Yeah.
it and say, okay, I'm gonna make up my mind. This is what it's going to be. Not today you're celibate until he come along, because the devil gonna send somebody to try to test you, and then
Mm-hmm.
you gonna mess up and then repent again. No. You're gonna have to be for real, for real. Just like with your Christian walk, it's all a part of your Christian walk. So
Right.
if you're not serious about your Christian walk, then you're gonna fall. You have to be sincere and honest about it. This is what I want to do. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do. I'm going to put my best foot forward as much as possible to live this way and to walk upright before the Lord. And like you said earlier, you said that when you honestly put forth that effort, the enemy's going to fight you. Just know the fight is coming, but you're more than conquerors. He told you in his word, you're more than conquerors through Jesus that
Yes.
loved you. So I'm looking at one of the chapters in chapter 4. You mentioned new discoveries. What were the new discoveries?
I was discovering things about me that I didn't know existed.
Mm,
And I tell people, I say, the more you learn about God, the more He reveals you about you. Uh,
mm,
so, wisdom nuggets I have now, I think, will make me be a better wife today, 20 years later, than I would have been had I not taken this journey. And I look at it as a
mm,
journey. Um, and even this year, I will admit, no, last year, 2019, maybe because of the COVID, I went through a period where I was like, Lord, now's the perfect time for me to be courting. You need to bring that man now. Now's the perfect time. And what am I doing wrong, Lord? So I look at people who got mental ailments or mental conditions and they've got companionship, and I'm sitting there going, well, come on, Lord, wait a minute. That's not fair. And I went through a low point where I had to really pray and call all of my warriors, all of my prayer warriors, to kind of pull me out of that funk. And it took about 2 months because I think I was headed toward depression. So I started seeing a therapist, speaking to a therapist. That has been very helpful. So I'm just saying, because of the COVID, mentally we have to stay balanced, find a way to keep yourself balanced. And but I was just like, Lord, where is he, and why isn't he here yet? Now is in my mind, now is the perfect time, because I met a guy in 2009 who lived in Chicago, and I know God told me that he was my husband. I know God told me. He never told me that before, and I wasn't lusting and looking at this man, because I looked up within, in the service. God said, "And that's your husband." I was like, "Who, Lord? Which one?" You you haven't specified. But after they got off stage, then it was clear. Oh, he's the one, but he chose somebody else to marry, and I was like, okay, so then I had to go back and say, okay, it's not your fault. You were good not to give up nothing. Even if you had given it up, this still don't mean he would have married you. But I would have been mad if I gave it up and he still married this other woman. So guess what? I'm still a re-virginaire. So that was frustrating, and I did go through I think that one tore me up for like 6 months. I pouted. I ain't gonna lie. I pouted with God. I was kind of like, why you teasing me, Lord? Blah blah blah. But even in my growth since then, I've just learned that God was saying, I got something better for you, because we both are free will agents. I had the right to say, no, Lord, thank you, but that ain't what I want, and he had the right to say the same thing. And so now that I understand that in the way that I do, it's like, well, Lord, I understand that you have all of my gifts and talents are specifically complementary to a specific man, a specific grind. He has a specific vocation. It's not just going to be for anybody. So knowing that, I can really be at peace and realize, well, Lord, because God is not about wasting his time about his daughters. He's serious about his daughters. So that helps me wait a little longer with a little more patience to run a little further.
We're running a little short on time, so I'm gonna have to have you come back.
Hi, here is a Queen Vanda Power Nugget. How do you identify a true friend? In Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, it lets us know that friends come and friends go, but a true, genuine, real, faithful friend sticks closer than a brother. A true friend will be with you in your most vulnerable, lowest, and worst of times, and will be with you when you rise up out of those valley experiences. It is at that time you will realize who your fake friends are. How? You will realize that their absence spoke loudly.